All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a quick lesson today on analyzing internet sources. And what we're going to learn how to do is go and find things on the internet and to determine whether or not they're truthful and whether we trust them or not. And this is a really important skill, so I'm excited to teach it to you. So some objectives for today: you should be able to, by the end of this lesson, analyze the trustworthiness of an internet resource using its top-level domain, its about information, who the author is, and links to and from the site. We're going to show you how to do that. And also we're going to talk a little bit about Wikipedia, so you can see how and when that's appropriate to use for internet research. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to start by talking about trust on the internet in general and whether we need to worry about it. And then we'll give you some methods for analyzing the trustworthiness of sources. And then together we'll go through some examples. So let's start with trust on the internet and why we care about it. So the question is, why do we care about trustworthiness on the internet? Isn't the entire internet just true? Isn't everything that you read there true? Well, of course, the answer to that is no. Much of the internet is not true. And the reason for that is there's a lot of different reasons for it. One of them would be spam. So the internet is filled with something called spam, which it originally meant emails that were lies, emails that were advertisements, and not real information. But now there's actually entire websites that are just filled with fake information that are trying to get you to go there and click on advertisements so the websites can make money, or maybe they're just lying for the fun of it. There's a lot of what we call spam out there, things that are not true, things that are there just to get you to go to the website. The other thing that's becoming unclear on the internet, if you can look at this picture, is that what is an advertisement and what is not an advertisement is becoming less and less clear. On the left side of this page we have some these are actually from Twitter, the tweets from somebody, and then on the right side we have the advertisements for different children's groups. But you can see there's not a huge amount of difference between the way these two things look. On the left side, this just looks like regular information, and so does this. But the right side is an advertisement, and the left side is real information. And so sometimes that's tricky to get through. Another reason why the internet is not always accurate. Okay? And the last thing, and this is a really important thing about the internet, is that anybody can step up on a computer and put anything they want up there. And that is an incredibly powerful thing that was not available until very recently. We're very lucky to have this as a tool, something where anybody can post anything to anyone. Okay? But the problem is that anyone, including this very intelligent young lady right here, can post whatever they want. So you don't know if it's true or it's not, right? Anyone can post whatever they want. They can post something that's really accurate, or they can post something and pretend it's really accurate but just be making it up. So one thing to talk about before we keep moving on, those are the big reasons why it's important to think about whether something can be trusted, is to ask about Wikipedia, which is an online encyclopedia, and the question is, can it be trusted? Okay. Just so you know, the way Wikipedia works is literally anyone, including you, can sign on to Wikipedia and write anything they want about anything. So if there's an article about brontosauruses, right, you can edit that article and put anything you want in there. You don't have to be a paleontologist or a brontosaurus expert. You can just step up and write anything you want, okay, which is hugely important, right? That's how Wikipedia started. Regular old people like you and me just started putting in these articles and editing them and making sure they were correct, okay? And so that's what built Wikipedia, a huge encyclopedia that's available for free. Okay, and that's really important. But what does it mean about when we wanted to get information from there? Okay, so for example, the American Idol page, okay, you can see it there, has been edited 10,000 times. Okay, and there's a reason why it's been edited so much. Some people are coming in and saying things that aren't true, or some people are coming in and saying things that are exaggerated or biased, and somebody else came in and edited it back. Okay, so it's really important that we think about the fact that Wikipedia is a production of everyone together. And that means that every time you go to the page, it might be a little bit different. And so if it changes, then we can't be sure about what's on there. So does that mean we should forget Wikipedia altogether? It sounds like it, right? If we can't trust it, then forget it. And of course the answer to that is no, right? If you go to Wikipedia, most of the information that you find there will be useful and will be correct. Here's something about the Declaration of Independence, right? It was actually ratified on July 4th, 1776. It's not as though you can't trust every single thing you find there. Here's an article from the quadratic equation. I'm sure you've seen the standard form ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Much of the stuff on Wikipedia is accurate. Okay? But when we're talking about writing papers for school or doing official research, we need to find other sources that we can trust a little bit more than Wikipedia. What Wikipedia is a place to find information and get started. It is not a place to find definitive proof of something one way or another. A good thing about Wikipedia that many people don't know about is the notes section at the bottom of a page. So a really well-designed Wikipedia page will always have footnotes. And if you see right here, it says Great Britain, and then there's that little 1 on it. And if you click on that 1, it will bring you to the footnote at the bottom of the page, which will tell you a real source where you can go and find this information where it comes from. It'll take you to another website, and you can test the trustworthiness of that website yourself. Okay, so now we've talked about trust and why it's important to think about whether a website is worthwhile to trust or not. Okay, and that's because anybody can post to the internet, so we need to think about whether or not it's worthwhile to trust the information that we're looking at. I'm going to give you a couple of methods for figuring out whether a source is trustworthy. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to give you 4 different things that you can look at, and that will help you to determine whether something's legit. The first one is its top-level domain, and I'll explain what that means in a second. The second one is its about or authoring information. Again, that's really important. The third one is the site quality, okay, like how good the site is. And the last one is links to and from the site. So let's go through each one individually. We'll start with the top-level domain. So the top-level domain, you actually probably know what this is. You've just never heard the official name for it. The top-level domain is the very end of a website's address, which is also known as its URL. Brownie points if you know what that means. That's the top-level domain, the very end of a website's address. So for example, .com or .edu, these are top-level domains. And let me just show you a couple of them, the more common ones, right? .com is the most common one. It's actually short for commercial, like a business is a commercial industry, okay? And it's actually open to anyone. So you can get a .com address. It doesn't matter who you are. You just have to register for the address if it's not taken already, and it's yours. But some of the top-level domains actually require that you are a special type of person or business or organization in order to get that domain. So for example, there's .edu, right, which is only open to educational institutions, so that's schools and universities, okay? So if I'm Joe Schmo, I can't register a .edu address on the internet because I'm not an educational institution. And so when you're going through your work and you find some website and it's a .edu web page, you can trust that a little bit more than some just plain old .com page because you know it's coming from a school or university. Now, that doesn't mean that instantly it's true, because there are plenty of schools and universities that say things that you shouldn't trust, but it's at least a start. Okay, similarly, right, we have these .gov and .mil addresses, which are both from the United States government, .gov just being the government agencies in general, and .mil from the U.S. military. These are only registerable to the government and the military, and that means that you can pretty much trust those as much as you can trust the government and the military. Okay, the .org TLD, the top-level domain, is really interesting because originally it was only open to organizations like non-profit organizations. Prospect Hill Academy would be a good example. But technically it is open to all. So that doesn't automatically mean that if it has a .org, then it is an organization and not a company or something else. But for the most part, the .org names are only organizations. So you can trust a little bit more, perhaps, a non-profit organization than a profit organization if the profit organizations have some motive, right? They're trying to make money. .net is just like .com, and there are many, many other top-level domains, but many of them don't tell you anything at all. Okay? Whereas the .edus and the .govs and the .orgs, these tend to tell you that you can probably trust this information a little bit more than the standard .com. All right, so that's the top-level domain. Now we're going to just talk quickly about the about information and the authoring information of a site. So a lot of sites have an about section, or they tell you about the author of the particular page that you're looking at, and that information can be really valuable when you're trying to figure out whether you can trust this author or this web page. So to decide, you should take a look and figure out who's writing it. So many sites have an about section. For example, on the left side, I copied this from eBay. eBay on the very bottom, it has an about eBay thing. So let's say you had no idea what eBay is. You could click on that thing that says company info and get an understanding of whether or not you can trust eBay. Okay, here's a copy from the Education Week website, which is, I think, a magazine that comes out weekly or a newspaper. And you can see right here it has the About Us tab. And if you click that, it will give you some information about what Education Week is, what they do, maybe give you some contact information if you want to get in touch and see if you can ask them some questions. This About information can be really valuable in determining whether a website is legit. If the About information tells you it's a company with 50,000 people, then you can probably trust that a little bit more than the About information telling you it's one dude in his basement. Okay. Also, if what you're reading is written by an individual author, you might be able to find out some information about that man or woman, and with that, it might make things a little bit more trustworthy, right? So, for example, I read a blog by a guy named Matthew Iglesias, and it tells you all the different things he's done. He went to Harvard. He used to be an associate editor at The Atlantic, which is a very reputable magazine. And so this guy's got some experience. I can probably trust him. Another option would be to Google the name of the person who wrote something and see what information there is about that person. All of this is to analyze the author of something, right? Because if you can find out who the author is, who wrote something, then you might be in a better place to decide whether his or her writing is legit. All right, so that's the about and authoring information. Let's talk about site quality. Take a look at these two websites. The first one is just black background, white text, all these different colors and all that. And the other one is well formatted. It has sections, pictures. It looks official. It looks professional. Okay, which one do you think you would trust more? The one with the haiku or the one with the small headshots of the people writing the political commentary? See, for me, I would trust the website on the bottom here because it seems more professional. Now, of course, looks can be deceiving. Just because a website looks professional doesn't mean it's actually legit. However, if you had to decide one or the other, I would trust the one that looks more professional. Okay, it means that there's more people working there. There's probably somebody checking the facts at this website as opposed to this one, which is probably just some guy's website where he writes his rambles and nobody's looking into the facts. All right, and the last one, this is a really important one, is links to and from the site. Well, one of the most important things that the internet has are these links. You can click on them and they take you to another place in the internet. And they're a really powerful way to traverse the internet to get across from page to page. But in order to analyze the source's trustworthiness, we need to look at some of those links. We can look at links to the site. In other words, we can look at people who are linking to the site we're reading. Or we can look at links from the site. We can look at the links within the page that we're reading and see where that takes us to other places. Okay? So if you follow the links from the site, you can see the trustworthiness of the websites that are being linked to. Right, so if I'm on a website and I'm not sure if I trust it or not, and I click the links and it's all to a bunch of weird pages that are just some wacko in his basement, then we can assume that perhaps this website is not so great. However, if I'm on a website and it has a couple links on the page and I click them and they're to very professional web pages that all have .org and .gov addresses, then I can really trust it. Okay. On the other hand, I can also, this is a really interesting technique, is to look for the site's URL, its web address. I can Google that or search it and look for other sites that link to the site I'm interested in. And if you see a bunch of crazy people linking to the site that you're trying to analyze, then you know it's not so good. But if you see like perhaps a bunch of famous newspapers, the New York Times, linking to the website that you're investigating, well then, hey, you can probably trust it. Okay, so now we've gone through a whole bunch of methods for analyzing sources, and one thing that I want to emphasize before we move forward is that there is no exact answer to whether or not you can trust a website or not. All you can do is look at its top-level domain, look at its about information, figure out who wrote it, and take a look at the different links and the quality of the page, and decide for yourself whether or not you trust it. There's no definitive answer, yes, this is a trustworthy source, or no, this is not. It's really up to you how much you trust the source when you read it. And it's up to you to do the work to analyze whether it's trustworthy or not. So let me show you a couple of examples of how you might go about doing that.